Hey everyone, welcome to the Daily Rash Show. I'm Jack Wilson, and it's the weekend here in the mountains of New Mexico, and I decided to come in and do a podcast on my own after all of the events that happened over the last week. So I don't have a technical director, and I'm doing this alone, so bear with me and we'll see how it goes with me operating everything. So it's like, how did we get to this point? And in my mind, it's the inability of the Democrats, and I'm looking at these two guys up on the screen, Schumer and Jeffries. I mean, they're running the show for the Democratic Party in the Congress, and I guess people kind of follow their lead, which is nothing. They're not doing anything in a lead. Basically, we got here because of, through the election, the Democrats' inability to fight, and Trump and his followers just kind of bullied their way to the top. They did it with the voters, and something went wrong with the voters. They wanted to hear problems fixed, and the Democrats were kind of basically talking about technical things. And, they didn't want to hear the depth of all of that. They wanted to hear their problems taken care of, problems addressed, and promises. And that's what Trump made. He made a lot of promises. He didn't have any debates. He basically didn't have to answer any questions on how or what he was going to do. He was basically by the Republicans anointed. And, the Democratic Party, never mind all of the mistakes that they made with Biden and that, I was never really a fan of his. But, they just did not know how to deal with Trump. They didn't know how to talk to him. More than that, I don't think they knew how to talk to the voters. And he got in. So, can he keep his promises? Well, that's going to be the question. If he can keep the promises that he's making, the promises he made. He did so many executive orders. Everyone was talking about all the executive orders that he did. Well, look, all presidents do executive orders. They do a lot of them. They typically don't make a show out of it like Trump did. He made basically a show out of every executive order. And keeping in mind, these executive orders can be undone by the next president. And a lot of his that he did, he was undoing things that Biden did. So, and executive orders, a lot of them can be challenged and will be challenged. And most of Trump's things that are going to be challenged in some way or another. But then he brought in Elon Musk. And who is Elon Musk to be in our government? In my opinion, he has no place in the government, but he is an autocrat, as Trump is. We were warned of this, and in some of my blogs, I've written about autocrats. Businessmen are autocrats. That's why businessmen, everybody thinks a businessman should be in government. That's not the place for business people to be. Government is a place to be able to take care of people's needs and service the people's needs. And, are there a lot of problems there? Of course, but that's what Congress is supposed to do. They're supposed to correct these problems and these inefficiencies. But getting back to autocrats, Trump, we were warned, is an autocrat. And let me tell you, all businessmen are autocratic in some way, or they wouldn't be successful. Autocrats, they do it their way, and it's one way, and it's their business, and that's the way they're used to running it. They're born and bred that way, and if they're going to be successful, that's the way they do it. And he is bringing that way of doing business into the government. And we should have been prepared for it. I was. And I think the Democratic Party tried to get that message across to people, but Trump avoided any kind of answering to anything. He didn't have any debates. No one really questioned him. He was just making promises. So now we have a government that's is right on the edge of just autocracy. And when he brought Elon Musk in, that should have been a real signal that that's what they're going to do. While Elon Musk was keeping everybody busy with his thrashing through government agencies and I guess nosing around and looking at all of these things, he was keeping everyone busy while, Trump was doing other things, behind the scenes, which was getting his confirmations in of his sycophants, people that they follow orders, and he knew that. And they basically zipped through Congress. Sometime later on, and maybe other podcasts, will talk about these people on an individual basis and, get comments from everyone. But are they qualified? I don't think so, in many ways. They all have issues. But the one thing that they do have is submission to Trump, what he wants to do. And there again is an autocrat, and almost teetering on dictatorship. But that's a long way off. However, if these things are allowed to progress, it can happen. I said before that 70% of the country, 70% of the world is governed under autocracies or dictatorships. There are not very many democracies. And that's why it's so important to protect the little ones or the ones that are trying to be democratic, and Ukraine is one of those. And then you look at someone like RFK Jr. The guy had so much baggage. Weren't there qualified people out there to run the HH? It's just not possible that there can't be any qualified people that they would bring someone in like RFK Jr. He has so many things that are behind him. Even his own family, and he wavers on one thing and another, and he'll basically tell you what you want to hear. And that, of course, that's what Trump was doing. And then it goes through the Justice Department and the FBI. And I don't know where these people even came from or why they want to be in that position, but to me, it's pretty obvious. It's just to do Trump's bidding. And he's already set up a narrative in the way he's going to be running things, and I don't think anything is going to be changing until nothing soon is going to be changing until his voters see some pain, and I think a lot of this can cause it, but he doesn't have anything in stone because there's so many legal aspects going on. But for anything to really dramatically change, people are going to have to be angry. And that's basically, we're talking about the constituents that voted for him and the Republicans in Congress that are basically listening to their constituents and voting in accordance to what they're basically threatening them. So if they start feeling the pain or broken promises, then you might see some changes. But unfortunately, some of these things that they're trying to do, it could happen, too late. That's really the only problem. But as again, I said, Trump is setting up the narrative, and I think one of them was on Ukraine, and that's been kind of sad to watch. But going back to to Musk, I love this. People that are listening to this podcast can't see it, but it's a picture of Musk that looks like Hercules, and I guess he thinks he's going to lift up the problems of the country and fix them on his own. Well, he's probably going to get a rude awakening on a lot of that, because we still do have a court system in the country, and they may defy a lot of these things that he wants to do, but. If we look and see what again up on a screen is a picture of Trump and the people that he got, and Elon Musk and RFK and Speaker Johnson and one of Trump's sons on Air Force One. So they're all buddies. These are all bros, and of course they all have smiles on their face because they all became confirmed, and now it's they think it's just kind of downhill for them. But getting back to what happened this week, how that happened was Friday. I was doing some work and getting ready to do a different show, and I went in and sat down in front of the television because I hit the news channels. And some of the news channels that I hit are the right-wing channels. There's about 4 or 5. I mean, it's Steve Bannon. I don't even remember them, but I do kind of breeze through them to see what these guys are doing. And it's very interesting sometimes to watch the lies that come out of their mouth. But hey, they've got a great audience that watched them. And there was one channel, I can't remember the name of it, but when I switched it on, I got right in the middle of Zelinski being beat up by Donald Trump, and it was so hard to watch. I had to switch back and forth. I turned it off, I turned it back on, I turned it off, I turned it back on. And I was watching it because I'd never seen anything like that in the Oval Office. It hurt to see that happening. Here's a head of state, the leader of another country, ushered into the Oval Office, and which is typically normally used as a photo op, and it's kind of a friendly environment. They have all the press in there and talking about things that they're going to talk about. Well, that's not what this was. This was in my mind, a setup. Poor Zelinski was sitting there. I don't think he had an idea of what was happening, because he'd been in there before with Biden, and it certainly didn't go like that, not like that. And it didn't take long for Trump for the people that are just listening, there's an image, and you've all seen it, there's an image of President Trump pointing his finger at Zelinski, and Zelinski is just sitting there looking at him in probably disbelief, but you would have had to seen the whole video, and I'm sure everyone's seen it by now, sitting there in disbelief that he was being admonished and talked down to like some 16-year-old kid by President Trump. And this is President Zelinski. He's the president of the Ukraine. It's like, what the fuck is he doing, talking to him like that? And President Zelinski is a pretty proper guy. I mean, he's an average guy, very polite, and I don't think he didn't have a comeback for any of this that was going on. And then what happened was now I put up on the screen a picture of J.D. Vance. I call him juvenile delinquent Vance, President Trump, and President Zelinski sitting there, and his arms are folded, which I guess any psychologist would tell you that that's kind of that's a defensive posture. It's like, what the fuck? While J.D. Vance is throttling him, and basically they tag teamed this guy. Where you tap hands like in a wrestling match and start up on him again. And then Trump really went after him. And it was very, very hard to watch, very embarrassing to watch that these guys were doing that. And then we find out later on, not only is this in front of all of the reporters for the Western world, but there's a Russian media person there that's recording all of this on Russian media. And at the end of it, then Trump's reply, I guess, or to end the meeting was, well, I think we're done here, and this is going to make a really good show. Yeah, I guess it did if you were on The fucking Apprentice. But you know what, President Trump, this is the United States of America, and that's not your fucking house. It's our house. And you're only in there for the period of time that we allow you to be. And this is this autocratic postures that you take, like you're the boss of the world. Well, you're not. You are not the boss of the world. And the European leaders finally, these guys stood up and said, you know what, this is enough. We're not going to give up on Ukraine. That's not. Maybe you are, but we are not. And so I did put up a image of the Prime Minister of Britain meeting with Zelinski, and then other European leaders that met with him too. They are on board. They're going to take care of him. I mean, they have a real interest in this. Anybody with half a brain knows that what Putin's means are here and what he's going to do. And he's getting exactly what he wanted. They were clapping and applauding and having a real good time in Moscow after watching what President Trump did to the president of Ukraine. It was the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. But fortunately, the EU is not going to stand for that. It's pretty obvious to them that Trump's what his plans are, what I think it's going to end up being the Trump doctrine. He's going to back away from NATO, I think, and quit funding European problems and letting them go it on their own. Now they're going to have to pump up their NATO funds. I think most of them are. Some of them are over 2%. Some are close to 3%. Some are over that. The United States, I think, is like 15%. But everybody says they don't fund it. Well, they don't fund it as much as we do. But I think there are only 5 or 6 countries that fund it less than 2%. But they know they're going to have to put more money in it. There's no question to that, and they will. And I think President Zelinski said it better than anybody could. He said, the United States is so safe and protected. We're protected by 3 oceans. It's the Gulf of Mexico, not the fucking Gulf of America, the Pacific, the Atlantic, and also 2 countries. We have friendly countries protecting our country, Mexico and Canada, unless this guy ruins that. But what he said was, you don't have to worry so much as we do. And that's when they really, really climbed on this poor guy. And Trump was saying that, you're going to start World War III. Where the fuck did that come from? Start World War III? No, he's protecting his country. He was invaded. But then through all of this, Trump was basically being an apologist for Putin on everything that Putin has done, and to the point of calling Zelinski a dictator and, just crazy. I mean, Trump is Trump. The guy doesn't even know sometimes, I think, what comes out of his mouth. But then the problem is people have to pick up the pieces after he's done all of this damage. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen. This week's going to be a lot different. I'm going to do some more shows this week. My blogs on, I'm beginning to write a lot of blogs on dailyraz.com, and we'll have some more people writing. But the main thing on this is that we just cannot let these things continue. There's too much going on, and I think it's done purposely, but there's too much going on to stand aside and not do something about it. So I'm doing my part, and I'm going to continue to do my part by producing more of these podcasts now that we've got all the technical issues resolved, and got a good studio to produce them in. And when my technical director's here, I can concentrate more on what I want to do in the program and in the production of the program. But the main thing is I'm not going to let go. And these guys and what they're trying to do, if Schumer and Jeffries don't want to stand up, then we have to basically replace them. These people have to be replaced. The Republicans are tough. They are tough, and they can be mean. And the crazy thing about this is that even after all of the goofy things that this president has said, most of these Republicans supported Ukraine, unequivocally supported Ukraine, and were behind President Zelinski. And all of a sudden, after that embarrassing episode Friday with this what we call a leader, after that episode Friday, they are all jumping ship now. They're all bailing. They all want to push Ukraine to the side, I guess. I don't know how else to put it. How is that possible that they can make that kind of important decision, national policy decision, in 24 hours because of this guy, Trump? Who the fuck is he? He was elected. And hopefully, down the road at some point, when his voters begin to feel the pain, they will pass this on to their elected representatives. That's why it's so important that on the local level, the people get out and demand answers. But until these representatives hear their voters and threaten them that they're going to kick them out of their $174,000 a year job, plus making millions on inside information, and you think they don't? The hell they don't. They do. They get a lot more information than we get in the public. So until they begin to feel the pain, it's going to continue on. And that's what needs to happen, is this needs to go on at the local level, Voters need to tell their representatives whether they're Republican or Democrat, and very importantly, Democrats, hey, either grow some or get the hell out of there. But it's going to take some real street fighting to bring the Republican Congress around to where America really is and where we need to be with our allies in the rest of the world. I think one of the European Union leaders or diplomats said it best. It's time for a change in the leadership of the free world, and I think that's pretty damn accurate. It's time to make a change, and continuing on, I think we've covered that enough, and next week we'll probably get into it more because there's probably going to be a lot of repercussions on that. But, and follow me on dailyrise.com on the blogs that I write, and we're going to have many more podcasts. So we're going to try to do a couple a week, and we've got some other interesting subjects coming up in the podcast that are not just politics, but this I could not let go, and I probably won't be able to let it go for a while, because I'm sure this is going to continue on. But I'm going to get out of here right now. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you on the next show.